Alright, hello guys, and here we are with the high stream third rerun banner. You can see here it has the high school episode of the break and the Haters Gamma as well, the Tank Gamma and DPS Epsilon. So starting off with Epsilon, we have our ultimate secret on stage, which counts as all buffs, further inflict street damage and then extra damage based on mystic power, and then inflict seal. The mystic power is this, and seal is of course for the seal. Our skill 1, which is 1, 2, 3, extreme dash, and our crit defense. Based on Mystic Power, so nothing really going on here. Even though it's a 3-hit AoE attack. As this skill called Training Triumph, inflicts weakness, then inflicts street damage, and times 2 Mystic Power, parallel defense. So this skill is kinda decent because of the weakness, and then multiple hits. Overall, there's just so much things that's going on here in my opinion. So then we move on to the ultimate, and its lower standard effectiveness for all enemies multiplied by uniforms in party for a lower speed. So it's pretty much just to debuff the enemy. That's what Epsilon's passive is about. Never gear as well, 13 seconds, inflicts mystic power, 80 times received, and inflicts 200% damage. So yeah, even more debuff on top of this and all other debuffs she inflicts. So pretty much. So here on this full team where the debuffs are multiplied by 8. So pretty much 8 times 5, since all these other shades are in uniform. That means that Epsilon would debuff this enemy by up to 40%. A debuff for both damage inflicted and speed. And when you awaken it, it goes up to 10% debuff to attack and speed, which is her A1, which is free from the event. So if you're running a full H's team, it would look something like this, and then of course you could just put in some cores and do something like this and this. But yeah, realistically, this is what an A1 episode would look like. Your A2 is whatever, your A3 is not kind of whatever, indoor for being a good skills, kind of whatever. A4 is whatever, A5 is also whatever. So realistically, this episode not really worth any awakenings at all. But unfortunately, her kit does still lackluster regardless of whether you gave her the awakenings, because Epsilon's kit lacks the buffs that like Beta over here would give it. At least Beta would give some damage inflicted buffs here and here in our gear. Meanwhile, and the same thing for the Alpha with her S plus here, giving a boosted damage here on this skill. And you already really do have a weakness user in that being this epsilon and beta. You need to start from the beta side, of course, and this beta side just inflicts weakness on enemy. So you pretty much just use epsilon beta as they're the best blue unit in the game, and even doing so, you don't really need the debuffs from epsilon or epsilon's weakness really, because this beta just does everything that epsilon does and even better really. The beta side has debuffs, but those don't really matter. And yeah, while there is the 50-50 ticket here, it's also a 50-50 because, well, while Epsilon does look nice with the braids, I won't lie, her kit does kind of just stink, like literally. So yeah, even though it does look kind of long, it ultimately just sucks really. A whole lot. Over to Gamma instead, whereas Gamma's actually looking pretty good. It inflicts damage on enemy, fair race, attack, damage inflicted, multiplied by mystic power stacks, of course, and it goes up to 50% unawakened and up to 70% when awakened for 20 seconds. Which is honestly pretty good. It's great amount of buffs and it's A5, which just means that it requires maximum investment, but that's not really what's needed. Never skill 1 here, no tolerance. It's a simple tank skill. Raises defense, inflicts provoke, and shields damage. Awakening, nothing much happens here. And that's our free A1. We have the skill to execute, inflict straight damage on single enemy. Inflicts mystic power and raise not deceived. And when we awaken it, you double that the damage received, debuff, and inflict one more mystic power, which I would say the times 2, the 40% damage received buff is honestly kind of crazy. That's what this Epsilon should have been doing, but oh well. I guess there's just fun with her for some reason. However, skill here at Self-Wave raises the attack of all eyes, raises crit rate and speed, multiplied by 8% multiplied by number of uniforms. So if we head back to the team I was showing earlier, just like how this Epsilon was giving a 40% debuffer, this gamma ends up just giving a 40% attack, crit rate, and speed debuff, which is also pretty which is also pretty good. And then when you awaken it, you get 50% buff to all if you have the full uniform party. So realistically, your party would look something more like this, where the Epsilon Beta, so then you just have like 4 uniforms. Alright, you can also use this HS Delta over the Beta, since HS Delta does do a ton of damage based on what I've seen. So yeah, this camera will give you pretty much between like 40% buffs if full HS team, and 50% if awakened. And of course, if awakened and not full HS team, you'll still get like 40% buffs if you awaken. And then this is our A3. So yeah, just 2 more cores after the free one. Yeah, I would say it's worth it, I guess. And does actually make for a good tank one. Of course, just like our HS units, you pretty much just have to use her with other uniforms. So if you don't have her with other uniforms, she's not gonna be that great. And back to the banner. There's a 50% chance to get her within 5 multis. Of course, you can get lucky and pull her before or just someone on the paid banner. Your choice, really. But yeah, if you do this, the free run banner, it's fit the choice. Worth it if you get Gamma, and not worth if you get Epsilon. But Epsilon could still be good waifu for you as well. Of course, there's a new aura that's coming out like tomorrow, but then, it's either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, depending on where you live, for the new aura. So I'd say we should check her out first before you come on this rerun banner if you haven't already. Since it could make for a good healer that replaces this HS item over here. I would love to have their gems realistically. And speaking of aura, happy birthday, I guess. Yeah, which I pretty much just got nothing from the PD banner summon myself. Just got this free magic core. So yeah, that's about it for this video. And I'll see you in the next one.